everyone. This is Prakash from 42 Gears. So we will probably wait for one more minute, allow a few more attendees to join us, and we'll start at 4:01. Okay. So hello everyone. This is Prakash, CTO 42 Gears. I take care of the engineering and R&D activities at 42 Gears. And today I'm really excited to talk about our latest product called Astrofarm, uh, which allows businesses to set up a private device farm for themselves. And it also offers a very lightweight, agentless remote troubleshooting options for companies. So the agenda for today's webinar would be, we will start off with a brief background about why we created this project. And then we will jump over to an introduction and overview about the product. And we will go through the various use cases where this product can be useful to businesses. We'll go a little bit deeper into the key features of the product. That will be followed up by a live demonstration about Astrofarm. And then we will list down the next steps for those of you who are interested in taking a closer look at the product. And then we are going to wrap it up with a Q&A session towards the end. So I'd like to request you, any questions that you might have, you can use the questions panel towards the right-hand side of your screen and punch in your questions as and when you feel like. And once we reach the Q&A session towards the end of our webinar, we will go through them one by one and we'll try to answer them to the best of our capability. All right, so let's get started. So I'll start off with a little bit of background story about why we created this product, what circumstances led us to create it in the first place. So I assume most of the people present in the webinar today are related to enterprise mobility in general and with mobile applications, enterprise mobile applications specifically. And like any other mobile application software engineering team, our team at 42 Gears also is always in constant need of devices. And we have a huge inventory of devices with us, different form factors, manufacturers, operating system versions, and then we generally team needs to work on a specific issue or a feature which requires them to work on a particular make of a device, or when we are releasing our software to the market and we need to validate it on a large variety of devices to make sure it works well and has robustness. So when we are working out of office, it's generally very easy. Any team member in need of any devices can just walk up to a rack of devices, pick up the device that they need, work on it, and then return it over there. Or you can just ping across a global group and ask for a particular device, walk up to the desk of your colleague, borrow the device, and work on it and return it back. But approximately a year ago, when most of us were enforced to work from home because of the pandemic situation, access to these devices became extremely difficult, and it posed these logistic challenges about every engineer working from their home might have only a few devices with him, and more often than not, there are always needs where he wants to work on a device which is not physically present with him to work on a particular issue or a particular feature. And that is when we started looking out for solutions to this problem. And we started exploring lots of products that are available in the market. And we came across multiple offerings, and but we found that most of these offerings were very expensive, to the tune of like $5 per device per hour. And I mean, we have our, I mean, we have automation test suite which runs for hours and hours together on lots and lots of devices for every minor releases we do. And we soon figured that this option is definitely not going to work out for us. And then the kind of devices that we in enterprise mobility generally work with are very specific devices, the rugged handheld devices, enterprise built devices, which are very difficult to find in the solutions that are offered in the market today, Amazon device farm or any other kind of device farm that is available, which are more focused towards more consumer oriented devices. So that is when we decided that, okay, we have to probably set up a system for ourselves. And none of the open source systems that were available were fulfilling our needs and requirement. So we assembled multiple systems, we customized them, we extended them, and that is how we came to stitched it together into something that we are calling our own device farm solution. And so this is the story behind what led us to create this product in the first place. And now coming to the introduction, so the end result is Astrofarm, which is a platform which allows you to make your own mobile device farm. And the unique thing about it is you're not renting a device on the cloud and paying per device per hour rent for using those devices, but you are building a device farm for the devices that you already own. But for some reason, you don't have a very good access to them. The devices can be scattered across various locations. They can be scattered across your various organizations all around the world. They can be with the different employees. But Astrofarm tries to bring all of them together and under a single console and gives you a level of access as if the device is just sitting next to you, and all the kinds of development activities, troubleshooting, testing, automation that you can do with the device sitting on your desk, you should be able to do it once the device is under Astrofarm. So moving on, the overall product can be sort of logically, the core components of the product are these four. The first one is obviously the cloud backend. The entire solution is hosted on cloud, and which frees you up from trying to set up your machines and setting up host of dependencies and microservices and everything. Everything gets set up by 42 Gears team on cloud, and that is the core engine which facilitates everything. Then once the cloud service is up and running, there is a lightweight software service called contributor service, which is responsible for adding the devices to the farm. And this contributor service is something which can be run on any person's laptop, and it can be run on an office server of yours, so that all the devices that you have in your rack in office premise, from a single office server which is running this lightweight software service, you just plug in the devices to a USB hub and plug in the USB hub to the server, and all the devices gets added to the farm automatically. Similarly, an employee can run this lightweight contributor service on their laptop, and then they can plug in one, two, or a number of devices to their laptop, and it gets added to the device farm automatically. The service is very, very lightweight. It can be even run on a Raspberry Pi. In fact, at 42 Gears, we have our offices at different locations, and we are using a Raspberry Pi for a few of our office locations where a single Raspberry Pi is able to enroll an entire rack of devices onto our device farm, making it available to all our teams worldwide. So this service is available for Windows, Mac OS, Linux, any platform. So any employee running any of these operating systems on their machines should be able to contribute the devices readily. Then the third element is the user who actually wants to use the device. The contributor is the one who is making the device available on the farm, and the user is the one who wants to use the device. And this person can be a developer who wants to write some code on and run the support on the device. You can be a tester who wants to do some manual testing or an automation testing. He can be a support person who wants to troubleshoot some issue, recreate some issue. Can be a salesperson who wants to access the device to give a demo to somebody, and any kind of person who wants an access to this device. He's a user, and the only thing that this user needs is a browser with internet connectivity. and you're good to go. And the fourth component, of course, is the devices themselves. They just need to be plugged into the machine running the contributor service. And the whole process is completely 100% agentless. There is nothing that you need to install on the devices. Uh, the platform works over USB ADB debugging. So obviously the ADB debugging has to be enabled on the devices if it is not already. And that's it. I mean, you just plug it into a host machine, which is running our contributor service, and the device becomes available on the farm. So moving on, once we have defined all these four core elements, um, the overall workflow for getting started with Astrofarm is something like this. We 42 Gears team sets up your cloud instance and then gives you a URL where a super admin can go and log in and maybe invite more administrator for their accounts. And once we have done that, now once the cloud instance is ready, the contributor service can be installed by anybody on office server machines or laptops or employee laptops, and every contributor can be added, and he's given a unique code which he has to punch it into the contributor service. And once the service is up and running, uh, you can just plug in a few devices into the machines which is running the contributor service, and the device becomes available in the device farm. And in the third step, the cloud instance already has all these contributed devices enrolled and up and running. And now users can just remotely access the devices from the browser. And if they want, they can ADB connect to any of these devices that they want and start debugging, testing, or any other low-level access that they want from the devices. So this is the top level workflow, how the overall setup works from beginning till the end. Then the user interface, this is a sort of a brief glimpse about how the user interface looks like. We will be seeing more of this later when we will go into our live demonstration session. But it's a clean user interface which tries to give you a view about all the devices and various parameters about them and also their current status. And once you pick up a device and start using it, the view becomes something like this, where you have a full remote control and then lots of low-level access as well. The supported platforms as of now is Android, and when I say Android, it includes the Android versions of Android VR, as well as Android TV or Android Wear OS, which is Android watches. So all versions of Android are currently supported. Um, iOS is currently under development. If anybody is interested in building a device farm using iOS devices, please reach out to us. We can give you an early access to our beta version, and you can let us know your feedback about it. It will pretty soon be available for production devices as well. And so, yeah, moving on. Um, so the use cases. So as I mentioned earlier, the essential use case that drove us to create the solution was essentially giving a good access to our devices, to our developers and testers. But once we had this system up and running, there were multiple use cases that presented themselves from this console. And one of the first one that I would like to talk about here is the use case where this platform allows, because it is completely agentless, it allows a very lightweight and quick solution for us to get access to a device for remote troubleshooting. So there are often cases where a particular issue or a particular thing is not available to, despite having a huge inventory of devices, there are often issues that we just cannot get it on our own local device, and the particular customer is facing it in the field, and we need to sort of get more information. And there are either we have to go back and forth with just exchanging some log messages and screenshots, or worst case scenario, we have to ask the customer to ship the device to us so that we can take a closer look to that device. And obviously, that's a time-consuming and expensive affair. But with Astrofarm, the need for shipping the device has become zero to us for the last whatever number of months we have been using this platform. Now, all the previous cases where at the end we were sort of going to the last resort of asking the party to ship the devices to us, we now can very easily ask that person to install the lightweight contributor service on any of his machine and plug in the device, and then the device becomes available to our developers and testers as if it is sitting right next to them. And it is ridiculously easy to add the devices. It takes less than 5 minutes to install the contributor service and plug in the device and get it online into the system. The remote control is blazingly fast. It's almost real time because it works under over the USB connectivity rather than using the device connectivity. So and it uses the laptop bandwidth. So it's really fast. And it allows us to bring the customer issues directly to the developer laptop, which is something which reduces the time to address these kinds of field issues dramatically, instead of going back and forth the conventional methodology of exchanging the log files and the screenshots. And now a developer has the capability of even single stepping into the code on the customer device and figure out that what is going wrong, and fix it in much quicker time. And as I mentioned, saving the cost of shipping the devices for troubleshooting the issues, this thing, and also, I mean, the cases where the device does not have any connectivity, because the whole platform uses the USB transport from the device and uses the laptop connectivity or the machine connectivity. So if in case there are issues related to the device connectivity, that can also be easily addressed using a platform like this. And another very important aspect of which few of our partners and customers who are trying this particular product like about is the floating light device license. So because it is completely agentless, you don't have to have a license. So for example, you have a store or you have a site which has like 100 devices with it. And instead of having to enroll all the 100 devices at once, whenever the issue happens locally in that store, you can just plug in one device which has the problem and get it onto Astrofarm, troubleshoot the device, and then you plug it out and then use that same license on some other device which can have a problem maybe at a later point of time, without having to ship the device locally to your main R&D office. So that kind of a floating device license, where you do not have to, in order to get that remote troubleshooting access, you don't have to have a license for each device on the site, is also something which can be very beneficial for lots of our customers. So this is one of the use case that has presented itself, even though we did not plan for that particular use case, but it has proven to be extremely useful for us and for our partners in past few months. The second use case is obviously the application development and testing. It offers us to have a way of getting an ADB connection to the remote devices, and which allows the developers to do source level debugging and view the logcat messages and install applications, uninstall applications, and any other thing that they could normally do with a device which is sitting next to them. Because it supports, allows you to have an ADB connection to the device, almost all the testing automation tools that are present today in the market work seamlessly with Astrofarm. So whichever machine you are running your automation tools on, you just need to use Astrofarm APIs to get an ADB connection to those devices. And once it is established, your automation tools will sense those devices as if they are locally connected, and they should run without any issue. Another great advantage of this tool, which we perceived, is an excellent resource utilization. So without a tool like this, there are often times when a device is lying with somebody and there's another person within the organization where he needs that particular device, but he just does not know that there is a that particular make and model device lying idle somewhere within the organization. It can be in the same office premise. It can be maybe another office premise of the same organization in different country, different city. But bringing all those devices together under a single console gives an excellent visibility to everybody in the organization. And we have seen that resource utilization has sort of gone sort of I mean, we can already feel that people who are struggling to get hold of our devices, they find it's far more easier to find those devices now on Astrofarm, because, for example, an R&D team engineer can very easily use an idle device from a sales office that is probably in another country from here, and it's nighttime over there, nobody is using it, and a team in India, for example, can log in and start using it for the development and testing. So yeah, that's another advantage that we have seen for this kind of platform. The demo devices, again, is another use case. So not just for software development and testing, but for giving demos to customers, this works as an excellent platform. Our support team or the sales team can access this console, take control of a device, and give demos using this. And oftentimes we outsource our development or testing to some external agencies. And more often than not, we have to ship devices to them so that they have access to those devices to work on it. A system like this can allow us to avoid those shipping costs and still make it available to external developers and testers. If you are an organization, an OEM vendor who has some SDKs, and there are developers who are in need of those SDKs, and you want to encourage those developers to use your devices, instead of shipping the devices to them, now a system like this can make those devices available to external developers and testers, avoiding the cost of shipping altogether. And again, I mean, businesses which are located across multiple cities and multiple countries, there is always this need for shipping devices from one office to another. And a system like this can also avoid those expenditures as well. So yeah, these are the few use cases that we feel this solution like Astrofarm can fulfill, and can be pretty handy to get ourselves across. Now, going a little bit deeper into the key features. So fast device enrollment, as I mentioned, once your contributor service is up and running, it just takes a matter of plugging in the device into your machine, and within a minute, the device with all low-level access is available on the console to take a remote control of. So it's pretty fast. Device utilization, I also already mentioned. I mean, you will have a full visibility of all the devices that you have, and very, very less chances that any sort of device can lay unused if there is a need to from somebody in the organization. Cloud hosting and support. So it is a completely SaaS-based service. No, don't have to worry about hosting it, scaling it up and down, and making sure that the deployment is secure, and of course supporting it, right? So any kind of issues, 42K support is there to make sure that your device farm is working well. Scalability is something that we had worked really hard on, and to ensure that no matter how many number of devices you have, no matter how many number of sessions you want to hold concurrently, and if there are sort of high volume traffic that you want to deploy bigger applications, bigger files to the devices, we have taken special care to make sure all that experience is pretty good for the end users. Remote source level debugging. This is something that is extensively being used by anybody who uses this platform, and developers can during my demo session, I should be able to show it that how an Android Studio, for example, can detect the device which is sitting thousands of miles away from you, and you can deploy your local code on that, and you can do a single stepping on that particular code and find issues in view logs. Testing automation, all the tools I mean, almost all the automation testing that we do at 42 Gears, we had to literally spend 0 hours to make it work on Astrofarm. So because most of them were based upon ADB connectivity anyway, so it works pretty seamlessly on that part. Uh, it gives you access to the device logcat logs. Any verbosity level, you can configure it from the console itself, and it should be able to dump you all those logs. There's an extensive search and filtering that you can do. You can export the logs to a local file, and then you can play around with that. The remote control, as I mentioned, is pretty fast, and because the underlying transport protocol is USB from the device, so we can see it's a differential screen transfer, which means which makes the remote control perception and user experience all the more better. We have also added support for audio streaming, so which means that during a remote control session, if you want to hear what is being played on the device, you can connect the audio streaming with the press of a button on the console, and that will allow you to hear and whatever is being playing on the device. This is specifically useful for few of our OEM partners who rugged OEM partners who work with push-to-talk technology, and they often encounter issues related to audio from their field devices, and a feature like this is really handy for them. Then we have an audit log, which can give a super administrator a very detailed log about who is using which device at what point of time, so that in case anything goes wrong and you need to know who was the last person who touched its device, all those detailed audit logs are available. So browser-based access, all the modern browsers, Safari, Chrome, Firefox, Edge, all of them are fully compatible, and they work out of the box. Instant in inventory review, so you can sort of dump the list of all the devices. You can sort them with their locations, which employee is contributing it, their model numbers, serial numbers. All that report is available with a few clicks from the console, and the number of devices that we are trying to support, right? So recently we introduced the support for Android TV as well, and iOS, as I mentioned, is already in the works. So yeah, we are constantly trying to add more and more number of devices in the supported device list. And in case there is any device which is not being supported right now and you want them to be supported, please reach out to us, and we will try our best to make it work for you guys. So these are all about the key features that the platform has to offer. And now we will move on to a live demonstration for the tool. So here I have the console open in another tab. And you can see here, once you go to the console, at the top here, you see these small summary cards, which tells you at the top level how many total number of devices are enrolled, how many of these devices are usable, which means you can go ahead and take control of them, and how many of devices are currently busy, and how many devices you are currently using. So Prakash is my login name, so it's just saying that I'm not using any device right now. And below these cards is the main device grid, which shows me a list of all the devices. And all the devices which are actively being used right now are automatically sorted towards the top. So I can see the two devices are currently in use. Their location is an employee name, Abhilash and Neetu. And the person who is currently using them is Nitin and Junath. And this way I can know that, okay, these two devices are currently in use. And I can see the serial number of the device, the operating system over here, the battery level, and also the model number of the device over here. And below, if I scroll down, I can see that there's one device which is currently being enrolled, which means somebody must have plugged in it just now, and it is getting enrolled into the system. And these are the other devices which are currently in unplugged state, and they might have come online earlier during the day, but currently they are unplugged, which means either the laptop or the machine to which they are plugged in are currently not running, or it has been unplugged literally from the device itself. So on the top over here, you can see there's a Windows, Linux, and Mac OS icon, And these are basically the shortcuts to install the contributor service. So for example, if I click on this Linux button, you see there's two curl commands which will allow you to install the Linux contributor service on any Linux machine, Linux x86 and ARM. And similarly, you can press the Mac and Windows buttons, and it will just download the installer for the contributor service. And once you install it, you're all good to go, and you can start plugging in your devices and enrolling them into uh, the Astrofarm console. If I go to the settings over here, I see there are various tabs. The tabs which are most important to us are the users and the contributors. So users are the people who want to log in and start using the devices. So an administrator can come here and add as many users as you want, and you can denote that whether that user will be an administrator or not. So an admin user can have access to these settings, but a non-admin users will only see the list of devices and he can remote control them. Now, in addition to the users, as I mentioned earlier in my presentation, there is something called contributors. So an administrator can whitelist or allow various employees or office server machines as contributors. So you can come over here, plus add plus button, and add them as a contributor. And once you add the contributor, automatically an access token for every contributor gets generated. And this is the access token which one has to punch in to the contributor service once installed on your machine. So for example, you can see on my machine, I'm not sure if you can see this, but if I launch the contributor service over here, uh, this is the contributor service that is running on my machine. I'm running on a MacBook right now, and you can see the service is currently running, and it is asking me for an access token. And this is the access token that I got from my administrator when he added me as a contributor. So once I punch this in and keep this service up and running, so it runs out of the box every time you reboot your laptop or anything, it automatically starts, and you don't have to worry about it once you have installed and configured it. If you want, you can launch these preferences and you can stop it and sort of make it not enroll your devices explicitly, but otherwise it's always running. So at any point of time, I can just plug in a device and it will automatically get enrolled into the system. So for example, I have a device with me over here. It's a Samsung tablet, and what I'll do is I'll try to plug it now on my laptop. And the moment I plug it in over here, so you can see there will be a new entry which will dismiss these prompts and unlock the device. So you can see there's this new entry called from Prakash. It's a Samsung tablet which is under the enrolling state. So it will probably take a few seconds, and once the enrolling process is complete, this particular device should become available on the console. And once it is available, so you can see the enrolling prompt is gone. And if I scroll up, you can see here this device has become enrolled and is being ready to use. Now, any other colleague of mine who is studying in a different location can now log in and press use to get access to this device. So similarly, for example, I have another machine, another device which is running on one of my other machines, and it's not physically next to me right now. And it's a Samsung 10, Android 10 tablet. So if I press a use button over here, uh, when I say use, the device gets allocated to me. And now you can see that this device is being sort of remote controlled over here, and I can press, okay, I guess that machine probably went into a hibernated state. So let me go back here, and probably I will try the other device here. And so this is another device which is sitting next to me right now. So it is on a lock screen, and I can press punch in the password and unlock it. And if I put the device into portrait mode, so the orientation should change automatically. And so once the remote control of the device is up and running in front of me, I can also increase the height of this particular window, which shows me the logs, and I can press the get button over here. And when I press the get button, automatically the logs from this device starts streaming on this particular window. And I can also set the verbosity of this log over here. So I think I think the demo gods are not with me right now. So let me just try to grab some other device here. And okay, so I see this device is available. And yeah, so this one looks good. So I can press the home button here. I can press the get button over here. And the moment I press the get button, there you go. The logcat logs start streaming over here. And I can set the verbosity of the logcat logs, and I can choose to see what kind of logs I want to see over here. And apart from that, there are lots of other, I can upload an application, APK application, and get it installed on the device. I can grab a screenshot if I want to. For example, I go and do some activity on this device from here, and I say screenshot. That screenshot gets captured, and it shows over here, and it is ready for me to download. So I can click on it. This image is available for me. Then in addition to that, I can also go to an advanced section, and I can increase the volume up and down. I can mute the device. I can use the media buttons over here to sort of in case I want to go to the next track or do any kind of or test any kind of media controls. I can reboot the device from this button, and I can launch the camera. I can launch a search. And this is very interesting. If there is any application that is running on the device, which is hosting some server on a particular port, and you want to forward those port to your local laptop so that you can get access to them. So you can use this section to specify the source port and the destination port. And with that, you should be able to get a script which you can run on your local laptop to get those port forwarded on your local machine itself. In addition to that, there is a file explorer here, which will list down all the files. You can upload any file from here. You can download the files from your remote machine. And so most importantly, you can see there's a remote debug command over here, which gives you a ADB connection string. So if I go here and I say copy this particular string, so I'll open one terminal, and I'll sort of show you ADB devices first. So you can see there's one device which is plugged in into my laptop, and it is showing a serial number for this. So whatever string I copied from Astrofarm console, if I paste it over here and I enter this, it says connected to Astrofarm 42gears.com. And now if I do ADB devices, you will see that there are two devices here now. One is the one which is physically connected to my laptop, but in addition to that, I also have a remotely connected device, which is a device that I'm currently using over here. I have a local ADB connection with this device now. And if I do a ADB, so in order to make my commands easier, what I'll do is I'll plug out my locally connected device so that there's just one device connected. So now only the Astrofarm device is locally connected on my laptop. And if I do a ADB logcat right now, so all the logs from that remote device, which is not currently with me, starts streaming on my machine. So I press a Control C, and I can also do an ADB shell. And once I do this ADB shell, now I have a shell to this remote device, and I can run any shell commands on that particular device and do a bunch of stuffs using this. In addition, I can also launch Android Studio, and this is my Android Studio, and you can see right now my Android Studio is showing me SMT510 tablet, which is locally available. And if you come to the console over here, you can see the model that the device that I am currently using from Astrofarm is SMT510, and it's the same device that is being detected by Android Studio as well. So if I go here and I press deploy button over here, the Android Studio is going to build my whatever project I have currently with me, and it will try to deploy that application on this particular device, and we will be able to see that application running here. If we put any breakpoints in our code over here, those breakpoints will be hit, and we can even do single stepping on those particular devices as well. So it's pretty much, I mean, everything that a developer would like to do with the device locally, sitting with next to him, he can go ahead and do it with Astrofarm. Uh, Now, there's this one feature that I talked about was the audio streaming capability. And I'm not sure if using this webinar, I will be able to let you guys hear the audio. But for example, if I go to YouTube and I try to, okay, the application that I deployed from my Android Studio got deployed, and this is the home screen of that application. And here I can see that install is successful and that application was successfully deployed. So if I do an attach to process, it will also attach my debugger and it will allow me to do single stuffing as well. So yeah, coming to back to the browser here, if I go to the home screen and I launch, say, the YouTube, and I play a video over here, for example, a video like this, and so the video starts playing, but I cannot hear a thing on this device. And if I press this connect button over here, that should prompt play a prompt on the device, which has to be accepted with a start now button. And well, once I press that start now button, I should start hearing the audio on the device locally on my machine as well. So let me try this one more time. Okay, I'm going to try this one more time, and I'll just stop the screen and yeah. So you can see there is this start streaming button over here. I'm going to go ahead and press that. And once I do this, I have to go and press the play button over here. And once I press the play button, it says the audio is being connected. And once the audio connection is through, we will be able to start hearing. Okay, so I guess I accidentally clicked the auto rotate button here. So let me bring the orientation back proper. Yes. And let me click the start now button again. Okay, so obviously I'm having some issue in getting this thing. Oh yeah, so I can hear the audio on my laptop now, and whatever was being played on the video is now coming to my earphone. I'm not sure if that sound is coming over in this webinar as well. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this, and so yeah, I mean, this allows us to have whatever audio is being played on the device coming to the browser console, even if the device is like remotely located at some the location. And this is, as I mentioned earlier, this is specifically useful for the cases where we want to troubleshoot some push-to-talk related issues for rugged devices. So yeah. So that's all I have for the demonstration. So in addition, lastly, I guess I can probably show the audit logs. And this is the log where you can see your contribution and your usage. And you can see that, okay, the devices that you are contributing, who all access at what point of time, and which all devices you access. And then the administrator can generate an audit log, which is spanning all the users in across the organization. So that really helps to know that how many in case you need to figure out that who messed with a particular device. So audit logs really works well in those cases. And somebody sometimes accidentally puts a lock pin on the device, so you want to know what that lock pin is. So you know that, okay, this is the person who last touched the device, so let me go and call him up. So yeah, so that's pretty much what I have for the demonstration for Astrofarm. And let me switch back to the slide and present it again. So yeah, so in case whatever we talked about and whatever I showed looks interesting to you, so as a next step, we can set up a detailed inquiry call and a detailed demo, and we can probably listen about your particular use case and see how this product can fit your needs. Uh, Based upon that inquiry from you, we can also set up a free trial account, cloud account for you, and you can reach out to any of our partners that you work with a sales rep or any SPOC you have with 42 gears with your interest, and we will definitely get in touch and take it to the next level. And there's also the URL I mentioned over here, which is 42gills.com/products/astrofarm. So there's an inquiry form here. You can fill up that form as well. And once you fill it up, our team members will reach out to you, and we can engage further and see how we can set up a trial account for you. So that's all that I have, and we can now move on to the Q&A session. And let me uh, sort of read out the questions and see what we want to. So I have a few questions over here, so we can get started. Uh, I see a question. I'm interested in testing the iOS devices. So yes, so we can probably reach out to you. So you can come to our website and fill up the form that I mentioned over here, and we can probably set up an account for you and give you some early access for our the beta version of Astrofarm, which has iOS support, and we can take it forward from there. So as I mentioned, it is not yet in production. We are currently working on it, but we would be more than happy to work with you, and so you can try out the beta version of our product. So the next question again is, when do you expect to support iOS with Astrofarm? So again, as I mentioned, it's in works. Probably, I would say end of quarter 1 or maybe sometime Q2 this year. We should be ready with our iOS support for Astrofarm as well. So the next question is, do you know if Astrofarm works in combination with RanoRex? So I'm not sure how RanoRex works. Uh, I honestly don't have an idea about this tool, but my answer would be that if RanoRex works over ADB connectivity on the devices, then yes, I mean, I would. There's a very high chance that Astrofarm will work with it out of the box, and I can probably reach out to you, and I can get this answer from my team. And if I'm missing the question, or this is about something else, so I'll probably will get back to you and try to uh, give you a more fulfilling answer for this particular question. Okay. Uh, Next question is there a limit to the number of devices which can be connected via USB to the host Windows PC, as an example? Okay, good question. So by default, a Windows port is any laptop that we have has like 2 to 3 ports in general. So uh, there are lots of industrial USB hubs which are available on Amazon and lots of other places, which are capable of adding as many as like 32 devices to a single machine. And because all these hubs are like self-powered, so using that, we are able to enroll as many as 16 to 20 devices from a single machine. And but there are even higher rating hubs available which are capable of enrolling, say, 32 or more devices as well. So yeah, I mean, the number of devices that you can potentially connect to a hub, and then that hub to the machine. I guess there's no, I mean, it definitely cannot be like hundreds of devices, because at a point of time, the USB bus driver of the machine can also become a bottleneck. But we don't see any issue in adding anything like to the tune of 30 to 40 devices per machine. I hope that answers the question. Next question is, with Astrofarm, you can reset or wipe a device after use so that it returns to the state before you started using it. So yes, this is one of the features out of the box that comes from Astrofarm. Anything that you do during a session on Astrofarm, with example, like you installing some new application, specifically when you install some new application, right? So if you have installed any application via Android Studio, or you use the console to upload an application, or you used ADB to add any new application, the moment your session ends, Astrofarm by default uninstalls that application. There is a setting using which you, if you want to not have this behavior, you can, configure it to do that. But by default, yeah, it tries to restore the device to whatever state it was before you were using it, and it tries to undo the things that you had done during the session itself. So, and then of course, I mean, you always have the option of resetting the device yourself as well. There's one hiccup where not on all devices an enterprise reset is not available. So the devices where enterprise reset is available, your USB ADB debugging settings will be preserved. So even after a factory reset, the device will just come back online on Astrofarm and is ready to be used by anybody else. But for the devices where enterprise reset is not available, there, after a factory reset or after wiping the device, somebody has to go and enable the USB debugging on that device. So doing a complete factory reset and a wipe might be a little risky. It will depend upon the kind of device model that you're using. So if you're using a make from a rugged device manufacturer like Zebra or Datalogic, where an enterprise reset is possible, that can be a good idea, but for others, maybe not. Okay. Can you give us a bit more information regarding costs? So regarding cost, I would recommend that you can get in touch. I guess after this webinar, we'll pass on your, we can get in touch with our sales team, and they would be the best person to tell you about the cost for this particular tool. So yeah, I think I'm a techie guy, and so I think they are really the best people to give you that answer. I'll make sure that I'll pass on this information so that they can provide you this information. Is there any estimation of when iOS will be supported? Again, I guess same answer. Mostly end of Q1, or which is like end of this month, or sometimes probably within the first month of Q2 this year. Is there on-premise deployment? So the deployment that we are doing currently is, the offering that we have currently is completely cloud-based, which is being hosted by 42 Gears. In case there's no technical limitation why this cannot be done on-premise, and in case you are interested in an on-premise deployment due to some security reason or otherwise, so we can get in touch with you, and we can come up with a plan about the on-premise deployment as well. So technically, yes, it is possible. And so far, our packages that we are offering does not comprise of on-premise, but we would be sort of very happy to work with you and come up with a plan for that. Okay. Do Astrofarm works with Android VR? Absolutely. It absolutely works with Android VR, and our developers can write code for the VR devices. You can do remote control, and everything that you can do with a local VR device can be done using Astrofarm as well. If not, is there an API to link with your cloud platform? So, okay, I guess this is an extension to the on-premise question. So on-premise, technically it's possible, and we would be happy to work with you to offer you. But in case you want to use our SaaS platform, yes, Astrofarm has a list of public REST APIs available, using which all the actions that you can do while logging into the console like acquiring a device, getting the ADB connection string, ADB connecting to the device, and sort of releasing the device. All those actions can also be done via the REST APIs, and we can get in touch with you and we can provide you access to those documentation. Next question is, under agentless remote troubleshooting side, how does it work even if the device does not have connectivity? Okay, good question. So the way agentless remote troubleshooting works is, so let's take an example that there is a remote site. It can be a warehouse site, it can be a retail store, where there is one machine, one Windows, Linux, or Mac OS machine on which we have installed our contributor service. Now, in that store, if some device goes bad or there is some issue on that particular device, and that issue can be related to the connectivity issue itself. For example, it is not getting any 4G connectivity or the Wi-Fi connectivity. So the step would be to bring that device to that Windows, Linux, or Mac OS machine on that store and plug it over USB to that particular machine. Now, once it gets plugged in over USB, then the access to the device is over the USB. So Astrofarm will use the laptop's connectivity, whichever, I mean, if your laptop is connected to the Wi-Fi or the Ethernet network, so that will be the internet connectivity that will be used to gain the remote access to the device. So even if the device does not have any Wi-Fi or a 4G connectivity, because all the information from the device will flow from the device over the USB to the laptop, and then using laptop's internet connectivity, it will become available to the Astrofarm console. So that's how it works. I hope that answers the question. Next, are we able to enroll embedded devices as well? So embedded devices, if as I mentioned, the platform currently that we are supporting is only Android, which extends to all flavors of Android, including Wear OS and Android VR as well. If the embedded devices that we are talking about run on some flavor of Android, then yes, it will be. We will be able to enroll it. But if it is some flavor of Linux or Windows or some other operating system, then no, as of now, we don't have support for that. We are only targeting Android and iOS for now. So next question, how is it different from AWS device farm application? So good question. So the first difference is that in AWS device farm, you don't own the devices. So you are limited to whatever device models, makes, operating system that AWS is offering you. You can only get access to those devices. And if you are in need of a particular device model which is not available in AWS device farm, but your developer wants to work on it, you just cannot get it, right? So that is one limitation. And Astrofarm allows you to build a device farm almost same level of access as what AWS device farm gives, but with the devices that you own yourself. So you can add all your devices to the device farm, and your developer sitting anywhere in the world. So AWS device farm, for example, is not going to give you an access for a Zebra device or a Data Logic device or a Honeywell device, right? So those rugged devices are generally not available on these public cloud farm services. And the cost is another big difference. So AWS device farm, for example, charges $5 per device per hour, and paying for, and then this is specifically painful if you know that you own the device. It's just that it is not available to you right now. So using Astrofarm, you can build a farm of your own devices so that you don't have to pay rentals for the things that you already own. So yeah, this is the main difference between AWS device farm and what Astrofarm has to offer. Next question is, I just joined, will we get the recorded session? Yes, I think the recorded session of this webinar will be available on our website, and if not, then I guess I assume our marketing team will be sending out the recorded session to all the attendees post this webinar. So yeah, I think it will be available, and somebody from our team will probably reach out to you and give you access to that. That's it, I guess. I guess that's all the questions that we have. And Thank you all for joining this session, and I think we are bang on time. Perfect 1 hour session. So thank you all for joining this session. And in case, as I mentioned earlier, in case you guys are interested in knowing more about it, feel free to reach out to us. There's a form on our website. You can also drop us an email at sales@42gears.com, and you can also call the number that is presented on the screen. And have a very nice week ahead of you. Thank you.